everybody about your story, Mark, and then we'll go to the big announcement. So,
Well, Paige, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I tell you, it was a real, you think about a perfect movie, the idea of what we went through, the way we were so young, we had dreams and we wanted to do everything to follow it and really make it happen. I guess we did. We started out, I joined in 1984. And at the time, Steve Brown, guitarist, was 12, 13 years old. Actually, even before I joined, I was the lighting guy for Trickster. And they played one show at Eastbrook Middle School in Paramus, New Jersey. And Steve's father was the principal of the school.
oh
So
my gosh.
they had a drummer. I really loved the band so much. I'm like, oh, man, I wanted to be a part of it. So I got to be the lighting guy. Did one show, did lights, and then the drummer at the time went off to college. So I was like, oh, it's my shot. And I had to technically audition. It was between me and another guy, and I guess I got lucky.
Did. So
And that's when it started in 1984. I joined 84, 85. I'm a little confused. I think it's so long ago. It's around 84, 85. Did our first show in the summer. I just got my license. So I guess that was 85. Yep, 85. I literally, I remember driving a car for pretty much the first time, and one of those times was to go bring my drums to the show. And I just turned 17. Joined the band when I was 16. It was a relatively short time, when you look back at history, but it didn't happen overnight. Between 1985 when I joined and we got our first recording contract in 1989. So it doesn't sound like a very long time, but we got the contract in 89. It took a year for the record to actually come out. And then once the record came out in May of 1990, our first record, Trickster. And airplay was starting to go pretty good at college radio and pretty good at the rock station, very good at the rock stations. But we didn't start hitting those commercial hit radio stations really hard. We had a bunch of people working the record, but didn't quite get it yet. And we go to MTV, say, I got our first video. Yeah, come on, you got to play it. They go, well, what's major radio doing with it? And then the radio station's going, oh, yeah, with this Trickster, what's MTV doing with the song? Like, damn it, we kind of got a little stuck there, So it didn't just happen, bingo. And then we got a little luck on our side. MTV put our first video up, Give It To Me Good, on Smash or Trash. You remember that?
yes, I remember.
People had the opportunity to call in and say, hey, I like it, it's Smash, or hey, this thing sucks, trash, And we smashed it around 84%, I believe it was, something like that, 83, 84. And that put us into medium rotation on MTV. They played us every once in a while. But the real value of getting on that medium rotation was that other people got to see it and they got to call in to request their most requested video of the day. So one day we debuted at number 7. What's that?
I want my MTV. Those are the
days. I want it back. I know they still call it MTV, but I don't think they play music on it anymore.
No, I don't think they do at all. I remember back in the day and how much fun, and I mean you toured with some huge bands like Poison and oh my gosh, let me look at the list. Ted Nugent, Talkin', Warrant, Great White, Firehouse. I mean even Kiss, and I love Scorpions. Tell us. Okay, so you guys are making it Smash or Trash on MTV. When did you realize that you really made it big? And where was your first big break, your first big show?
Well, the first large crowd that we actually played to, I think, was at Zephyr Hills, Florida. It was, I think, called Livestock. It was like an outdoor festival thing. Sabotage played. We played. King's X, I believe, played. I mean, a whole bunch of bands. But that was the first big crowd that we really played in front of. And then things started to, towards the end of 1990, things started to get pretty crazy. We were drawing very well. We were supporting, our first tour was with Stryper, and then with Don Dokken. Then with the, then we went out with Poison. So our first arena show was actually with Poison in February of 91. And that was pretty amazing. You know what I mean? We had been on a real large stage.
People. They're so much fun.
I gotta tell you something. They treated us so nice. They were. It was beyond a dream come true. Brett in particular, like when you see him on
Oh yeah,
TV and stuff, and he like you see him, he's all nice. You think behind the scenes, he is exactly like that
he
when the
is.
cameras are not on. He is
I've
a true cool guy. You know what
I've
I mean?
interviewed him several times, and he's always super
It's not an
smiling.
act. Like he's
No,
really like that.
he's a
And even
firecracker.
behind closed doors, like backstage. First off, here's another thing. I've never seen any band give out more backstage passes than Poison. They have sections of the arena for pass holders. And I couldn't believe it. They line them up in the back. And as long as you have time to wait, Brett meets every last son of a gun. And like there's a line around the freaking backstage area. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's
That's
crazy. But
beautiful.
he comes out and says, everybody's hang on. Everybody's going to get a chance. And everybody takes a picture, says hello, move. You know, but I've never seen anybody go to that extent to shake every hand, to take every picture, to show love, man. I mean, he is for real. He is 100% for real.
He's a
The
good guy.
nicest guy.
He really is. So let's go back to your history with this band. You guys have been together for so long. What, okay, so then were you always together? Did you take time off and were you always in touch with each other or what's happened to make you start playing again? Because I know you had some releases probably
Well,
about 5 years ago, right? So,
yeah. Well, I tell you, like when we first started, our first tour was 13 months long. We
uh-huh.
played 321 shows. So we were, when things are rolling, you really don't want to put on the brakes. But we wanted to do it the best we could. We had a lot of great opportunities. That first year we toured with Poison, Slaughter, Scorpions, Great White, uh, a Firehouse, Warrant. It was Winger was on some shows. Badlands was on some shows. It was awesome. Then we did some festivals and things. So like, it was crazy, amazing. We stayed together through just beginning of '95. January '95, I quit the band, and I guess they disbanded shortly thereafter.
They
And
couldn't do
then I
without
guess
you.
what's that?
They couldn't
No,
do
it was
without you.
the reason why I left. The time we went from having the best of everything, number one of everything, to zero of everything, and it was and I felt at least at the time that nobody wanted to really sit down and talk about how we should proceed forward,
Yeah.
and it was a weird time.
I
We
see.
lost a lot of support. It wasn't just Trickster. I don't know how many people really understand what happened. It wasn't just that the new sound came from Seattle. It was the fact that MTV embraced it and promoted that and cut everyone else out.
Yeah.
It was not just us. It was Bon Jovi, Def Leppard. A lot of all the hair bands went to crap. Guys like Bon Jovi and Def Leppard selling multi-million freaking releases. Come back and do like 2 million copies. For a band like Trickster that sold 1 million on their first record, the next record out, to lose 75% of your sales is like,
You
that's heavy.
guys, you're not going to cross over to AC like Bon Jovi did. So I see where you were in kind of a dilemma where, what are you going to do?
Now, there's something else also, and some bands that were smart knew how to weather the storm. They went overseas.
Hmm.
So to go to Europe, to do Indonesia, and to establish those markets, we had a real weird problem when we were with MCA at the time that we got signed. The distribution company was just going out. So when we were starting to rock and roll, they're like, "Well, what are we going to push this Trickster for? We're going to lose the account. Screw them." So
Yeah.
we kind of got screwed on that. And we lost while we were really doing well in America, we had no push overseas at all. So that's a really strange thing. And
Hmm.
that means we didn't get the opportunity to set up a catch wall that if something was going bad in America, we really had nowhere to go. So weren't able to conquer those markets.
But kind of like the hair bands and that kind of music is, I'm kind of hearing a lot of a resurgence of it. So it's kind of exciting. Now,
Yeah, well,
okay.
you see, we said the same thing. So in 2008, we put it back together
Uh-huh.
and we started to do it all over again. Our first show was back in Rocklahoma for like 30,000 people, and it was amazing. Then we did Cadott, Wisconsin Rock Fest, and that was the funny thing with Poison and the band Boston. It was a very triumphant return. We did a lot of shows on our own. We did a bunch of festivals, and we did that for about 10 years.
Now,
And then in two,
do you
huh?
always play the drums? Did you play drums in school? Or are you
Yeah.
just always going to be a drummer and that's how you keep in shape and keep
Let me tell you
playing?
something. Yeah, it's funny. Even when I take a break from it, when I come back to it, I feel so much better.
Uh-huh.
It's funny. Even more recently, a buddy of mine has his band Salvatore Carlino, Sal and the Stray Hounds. They and Sal's a good buddy of mine. I love him. He's got great groove. He's a great blues player. So he's like, dude, my drummer crapped out. I'm like, all right, I'll back you up. You know what I mean? But I really wanted to do it because I hadn't played in a while. And I'm
Right.
like, man, I feel better when I play.
And
And
it's
I'm telling you,
hard.
yeah, normally with Tricks, it was like one set. If we're an opening act, we do a 40-minute set, or for a headliner, we do like an hour and 10, hour and 15 minutes.
Hmm.
With Sal, he does 3 sets a night. The first set's an hour and 20 minutes. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to make it.
You're gonna die during the drum solo.
I couldn't believe. I felt fantastic. I was surprised. I thought the next day, wake up, going, oh, but
I can't wait.
man, I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my God. So if I really keep it up, I'll live forever, and I'll
Yeah.
always be a drummer.
Do you,
I
do
love
you
it.
hit the do you hit the drum? I mean, do you hit the gym before you go out and start running? So you
Well,
can.
technically for drums, you have to be careful when you do the gym. You shouldn't lift right before you play. When you play, you should be relaxed. The
Right.
body should be relaxed. You don't want to be pumped.
Yeah.
So typically, when I'm getting into shape, I practice first, then go to the gym. You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean? And then I typically wait some time between gym time and then practice. I mean, you got to make sure you're loose and relaxed. You can't be pumped intense.
Right. Because you can't be sore and do
Right.
that.
You just got to space it out. And then
Yeah.
typically, one thing I always did, I was very pretty adamant about was wrist stress. I can't talk today. Wrist stretching, and
Yes.
that is very important. No carpal tunnel, and also it combats the whole fatigue thing between lifting weights and being relaxed
Yeah.
playing.
I mean,
So the stretching is really, really important.
I only asked about lifting weights because the drummers that I know are just, massive back lats. I mean, they work out a lot just because they said you wouldn't believe how tired you are during a show and how sore you are. So it helps if you do go to the gym and
A
work.
100%. It's funny. Also, like when I was young back in the '90s, playing was never a problem. I played every day, an hour. That was not an issue.
Bother you.
When we put the band back together in 2008, number one, I really exercised and lost weight before. We put it back together. But not even that, we played intermittently. So I was ready to rock and roll, play shows. Yeah, great. Oh, we're taking 3 weeks off. I'm like, uh-oh. So if I didn't kick some ass a few days before going out to play that show,
Yeah.
oh, I did that once. We opened for Ted Nugent. I don't want to say where because I don't want people to know. But we did this one show at Ted, and it was a big outdoor festival. And man, I got through the third song. By the fourth song, halfway through, I couldn't raise my arms. I was like, oh my God. And
Oh
that had
wow.
never happened to me before. But man, if you don't use certain muscles all the time, you lose them.
Yeah.
I believe I'm going to play a big show and kick the crap out of them. You got to be in shape. So I learned the hard way. I did that once, and I won't let
Yeah.
that happen again. So I said, I know anytime I got a show, I really got to play. A few days prior, you better hit the floor. You better start doing the stairs. Do what you got to do, because I felt the pain of what it's like, and I didn't ever want that to happen again.
And
Yeah.
since you've toured with so many people, so many big people, do you ever have any problems technically where, um, you know, things are off and it's not like your best night? How do you get through just going through a set where
I'll s-
which the sounds aren't
when
great?
you ask that question, yeah, when you ask me that, it brings one thing back into mind. We were touring very heavy. We were playing. I remember we were through the Blood, Sweat, and Beers tour with Warren Firehouse, and we were playing 6 to 7 nights a week. We would play probably the arenas and festivals, amphitheaters with Warrant about 4 nights a week, and the other 3 nights we do clubs or theaters or something on our own. Um, and I had this one slump where for like 5, 6 shows, I did not feel, and I don't know what the hell happened. I was on top of my game, was in great shape, but for some reason, like you said, now maybe other people couldn't even tell. I could tell, and I got freaking angry, and I felt pissed. I felt like I was shortchanging the people, even though nobody seemed to notice anything. But for me. I just didn't feel good about it. And I remember it. There was this one show, like the last night of the last night of the slump.
Oh
Uh,
no.
I got all angry, and it was the last song, and I just went a little nuts. I took the stool, I threw the drums, and I took the sticks. I went nuts, and I just started going crazy and busting everything up, and the crowd went nuts. They
I'm
loved
sure
it.
they love
And then I
that.
got it, and I was still so angry. I went right up to the front of the stage, and I yelled a very bad word with my finger up in the air,
Yeah.
and they
A few
lost. They
F-bombs.
went nuts. They went crazy. And I said, "That's the last bad night I'm gonna have." And that was, that was the last bad night I ever
Oh,
had.
because all the years that I've been doing it, I know that if you're not headlining and you've got a 30-minute set to get on, get off, and it's just like you're trying to do the best that you can. It's tough.
Well,
It really
that's
is.
it. I got to tell you, when you have a short set, I mean, for a drummer like me, I think that's gold because I got to kill it pretty much every song, and I lay back on the ballads. I try to play dynamically, but when I hit, I want it to freaking wallop.
Yeah.
So to play an opening set, I love to kick it in the ass. I mean, that's
Yeah.
great. You
You
know,
come out
uh,
rocking and you end rocking. That's how you do it.
yeah, now bring them down a little in the middle or something.
Yeah,
Kid,
that's where you
but
play your love
I want,
songs.
I want to, I want to kill it the whole show. Absolutely, I don't want to
Yeah.
pace myself. I want to knock it out. So yeah, the shorter sets certainly lend itself to giving that effect, and I think you're more dynamic. That the whole band, more dynamic. The guys jump around. They give it their all more so
Yeah.
than if I have to pace themselves for an hour and a half.
Well, what's going to be happening with Trickster now? What are you guys going to be doing without the
I hate
long
to
hair
say it.
and coming
Well,
out? You're a little different now.
yeah. Peter and myself, we're in. Peter's our singer, Peter Lauren. He's in Phoenix with we live out here, not together.
I gather that.
and then and then, and
Don't
then PJ and
respond.
Steve live in Jersey, possibly together. I
If it works, it works. Wives and
don't.
girlfriends or
No,
whoever, I'm not sure if it's
right,
all of
right.
that.
But PJ and Steve have been carrying on. They play with Eric Martin. They do a lot of dates with him, and otherwise, I guess there's two different camps, and hey, who knows what the future may bring, but right now everybody's a little separate.
That's understandable with COVID and everything. Because you get,
I don't know. Living out here in Arizona, we have a lot of fun where things are, back to the way it ought to be.
well, that's
And
good.
yeah, we have. My buddy played a concert last night. Bobby Sisk from Drop Diesel,
Yeah.
kicking in the Button Cave Creek, Arizona, yesterday. Had a great time party. A few hundred people out. A few hundred people. It's freaking awesome. And what a great time. There was no problem. And concerts are alive and back. A lot of rock festivals out there going.
Yeah, that's
And
good. We're
I
getting
heard
there.
very positive things about the Key West Festival that just recently happened.
Nice.
People were rocking, and people are back out and having fun,
Yeah.
and
It's going to
people are
be a
not
good
turning
summer.
up in droves, dying from going to a concert.
It's going to be a good summer, I can tell.
Yes, ma'am.
So, when my producer Andy told me about you, I was so excited because I am a daughter of a Marine. And when he was telling me about your product, yes, I don't deserve that, but I am the daughter of a
Well, thank you
gunnery
for
sergeant.
her service, please.
Yeah, well, he passed, but he was a 40-year man in the Marine Corps. And when Andy told me about your product, American Premium Vodka, what made you decide to do this? And let's talk about what's going on with you, Mark. Let's talk about the vodka.
Well, I guess I've always liked vodka, number one. But
Okay.
the real thing, this whole American Premium Vodka is more than just vodka. The brand is something really that resonated with me. I came up with the idea about 5 years ago. And, it's kind of weird. I guess the political climate of the country was a lot different than it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that it was at this point in time, it was a call to urgency to employ this and to really make this happen, to create awareness that the country is really divided more now than it has ever been. That's what I believe.
Yeah,
And I think a lot of people
sure
will
is.
believe similarly. And the idea with this brand is to bring people together.
Right.
I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. The idea is There are more things that unite us than divide us, and we're losing sight
United
of what
States of
makes America
America.
so great.
Yeah.
And there's too many distractions, whether they're employed by a certain political party or not. It does not matter. But we forget about our amber waves of grain. We forget about how wonderful, what makes this country so great, and all the freedoms that we do have, instead of capitalizing or thinking, concentrating too much on the negative things, or people that are introducing negative things into our society that we do not need.
Right.
So it's time for the people to take charge of their own life. And this brand is a step in that direction. And it's something for maybe your ideology, to put your egos in the back seat, and maybe your political muscle on the shelf, and sit down, have a drink, and maybe we could have some real serious discussion as to what's going on here, because the people are not, our government right now is not acting in the people's best interest. And that needs to change. And I think people are starting to slowly see that. I really believe that. So I think as we move forward, we will truly move forward. And make sure that this country stays a country of the people, for the people, by the people.
Right, and the people that serve. I mean, look at how wonderful
Right.
the history of this country.
100%, and that's what we do. $1 from every bottle that we sell goes to U.S. veteran charity. So I'm doing a lot of work with the American Legion. I'll be touring the American Legions throughout the country to do launch parties and raise money for veterans. The whole thing is really a fundraising campaign. And but again, it's more than just it's raising money, and it's also just creating awareness. We have a pretty heavy message that we carry. And
let's not forget, even though they came home, they're still there sometimes.
Yeah, we know it.
It never
We do the
ends.
7 o'clock toast every night. I know
It never ends. I
No,
have
unfortunately
friends
not. Unfortunately not.
that are soldiers, men and women that have gone over there, and it's a tough life for them now. And let's not forget that they did serve this country. And I know that you're thinking, well, shouldn't they be over that? Shouldn't they be fine? Well, not necessarily. It was a horrible war, Iraq and Afghanistan both. No war is pretty, no war is easy. And I couldn't imagine some of the things that people have been through, and they're still strong and surviving. But, we have to remember that they're there and not forget about them. So
100%.
I appreciate
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that what you're mentioning there. There's been all too many times throughout history that we count on them to go, and then they get spit on when they come home.
Yeah.
That is intolerable in my eyes. You know what I mean? I think that attitude has certainly changed as of late. That is certainly in the very, very far minority today, as opposed to the way it used to be. And let's remind everybody also, when it comes to whether America engages in a campaign or not, it's not the soldiers' choice.
No.
It is not them that did it, but it's them that answer the call. When they're pointed to say go, they don't question, they go.
Right.
So that the people don't understand necessarily the valuable commodity that they create in making America great. And the people do not necessarily understand what kind of respect that they truly deserve.
And they're willing to die for their country, that they love
100%,
America that much.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a special breed of individual, because I tell you what, you go down the block,
right.
The lion's share of people don't have what it takes to walk that walk.
And those are the people that are running in when the rest of everyone else is running away.
Bingo. Yeah, there you go. There's a perfect analogy. When there's
right.
a disaster, how many people are running away and how many people are running in? And that's a good definition for the character of a soldier. Mm-hmm. And they're the ones that walk into oncoming fire. So that's a certain breed of individual that people do not understand. Try getting shot at, maybe then you'll understand. But you know what I'm saying? So
try your job every day is just to survive and
darn
protect your buddy. That's
yep.
And do what you're
and they're the ones dying for you.
Yes. Exactly.
They lose sight of that dynamic, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what this is all about. Reminding people what reality is, not being misled by something else.
Right. So how long have you had this product out, and where can people find
it? It's not even out yet. It comes out in March. I'm getting very excited.
Yes.
March 15th is the technical actual release date. It's the American Legion birthday. So launch. I thought that was a perfect time to have a party.
Yeah.
And being that I think that falls on a Tuesday, so we're waiting till March 19th, that Saturday, to actually do the official launch party, and that'll be crazy. We'll probably be live broadcasting. We're gonna have a lot of fun. But yeah, mid March is actually when the release date is, and then I'll be start going on the road to all the legions, doing launch parties all over the country.
Right. So
Yeah, we're gonna
that's
have
one.
some fun. We're gonna come by you too.
Yeah,
You're
you're
gonna be the
coming.
guests of honor.
Yes, you come to Greenville, and we'll have a
Darn tootin'.
party, and
I
we'll
got family out
celebrate.
there.
We'll celebrate and drink responsibly.
Yes, I'm letting someone else do the driving. I'm not driving.
Absolutely, that's what we do here in
I might
South
even sleep
Carolina.
at the Legion.
They'll love that.
I know. Yeah, we'll do it all night. We'll have a breakfast party.
I've heard so many stories because, when when people were deployed and I was working for a radio station, I would send them T-shirts or banners, and my only criteria was come home alive and take pictures of anything that you post, so I'll have my memories. And everything was all over, like porta potties, tanks. It was just hysterical. But the guys really love that. So, I mean, wherever we go now, I'd love to just, give them something to take with them that we just say, here, you can have this. Well, I want to collect guitars that people don't use or instruments they don't use and ship them over there. That's one of the things that I really want to start
That's very
doing.
cool.
Yeah. So get them writing music and get them, talking about their feelings, because a lot of people that are in stress like that, they shut down because they're trying to deal with it and just trying to survive every day. So maybe there's an outlet with music, and, when they come home,
Well,
they could celebrate with America. Or we can send some American premium vodka over there if they'll.
please don't get me started. I got this whole idea cooking for doing some drop ships. So, the main thing is, the government allows you to ship free.
Hmm.
You don't need a license to give it away.
Yeah.
So I intend to.
Yeah.
So I intend to do that, but we also want to take a picture where they are. So if we could ship a little bit of America to them, I think
Yes.
that's the idea that I
Do a
want to
little
get on. And if
broadcast.
we could share that in social media, I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah,
And
that'd
I'd
be
like to,
great.
that's one thing we'd like to do.
Yeah, well, I've enjoyed talking to you. It's so great. And
Oh, great. It's my absolute pleasure. Please. I appreciate it. But, I think things are slowly happening here where people are starting to get more aware. Like I said before, the days from Vietnam, with the way the country felt about the military versus the way they feel about it
right,
now, there's a very big difference. We
right,
keep making a nice progression like that, this country is going to be doing just fine. But I think there's still many individuals out there that don't necessarily look at things from a certain perspective. Not that they have to be my perspective, but they have an altered, skewed vision of what's going on, and they need to just maybe be exposed to something to trigger a different, instead of saying it's not the soldiers that chose to go do all this. They did it because they were told to, and they didn't
right.
question. When the country called for them, they answered the call and didn't question.
And
So we can't hold.
see, that's what I don't understand, the whole mentality of people, because what military family doesn't want peace? Talk about a long distance relationship being
Some of
away
these,
for.
some people lack the perspective. They have their own view on life, and they
Right,
can't look at it from somewhere else. They don't necessarily see the dynamics of what you're saying. You know what I mean? And that's what we have to slowly get them to. So it's harder for some. You
yeah,
know what I mean? We can't expect everybody to look at it from our point of view, but we can expose and we can feed them a brand. We can show them an idea, and hopefully, little by little, people will start going, "Oh, I never thought of it that way." You know what I mean?
like,
And let me tell you something. Myself, when it comes to things in life, sometimes people raise my eyebrow. Oh, shoot, I never really thought about that. But so this is not about the America the way I see it. Let's have a discussion about the way it ought to be,
yeah,
and maybe we can maybe make some
and
progress.
no war was ever fought about people. It's usually money and big decisions.
Now you're going to get into some serious
So
conversation.
when a family is told
They
that
might pull this cast, so easy with that.
when a family is told that, the husband or wife or whoever is in the military, or sometimes both parents are in the military right now, they're deployed, and maybe they were in the reserves, they don't understand what that does to a family, that they're it just is, it's a fact of life. But you respect the people that are over there, and you love them so much for them having that kind of character to be willing to serve. But I mean, being home as a family, it's not easy. It is not easy. So we need to show support and love for when these people come back, and never forget that they served at all. Even if it's one year, one term, one tour, you still served.
100%.
Always,
As opposed to the person that didn't.
yeah, you're always a soldier. You're always a Marine. You're not a part-time person. Once you're in the Brotherhood, you never leave.
True. 100%. 100% correct. That's right. They answered the call. They stepped up. They actually did it. And you know what?
Yeah.
That, and believe me, sure, they look at life a lot differently from that perspective as well.
Yeah.
To step up like that, they got some in their shoes that's a little heavier than the rest, than a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
While the rest of us didn't want to run in our PE classes, these people were out there in the morning running.
You darn tootin'.
Yeah.
Yeah,
These
100%.
Yeah, they're not afraid, and I'm just like amazed. I was amazed by my dad for keep going back, even though he was one of those people that came back from Vietnam, and wasn't respected. There was no parades, there was no ticker tape parade in New York City when they all came home, which there should be when they come home.
Darn tootin'.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
let's try to
Well, God
change
rest his
that.
soul.
Let's try to change that. Mark Guest Scott from Trickster and American Premium Vodka, which I can't wait to try, and
Babe, don't worry, believe me,
with you.
I'm coming out there. I'm coming out that way. We're gonna find the right post
Yeah,
in South Carolina. We're gonna make it happen.
we're gonna. All right. Thank you. You've been listening to On
Paige,
Stage
thanks
with
so much
Paige
for
with
everything. An
Mark.
absolute pleasure. And I will be seeing you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care, hon.
Bye.